So one thing that you need to know about me, right, is I love balance. I love balance. And this channel feels a little unbalanced. Let me explain what I mean by that. I've been having a good time. I feel like we've been reading books like with the China Mieville, the Jeff Vandermeer, some of the series, Game of Thrones, a lot of things, a lot of the sci-fi, a lot of the weird, a lot of the books that I feel like we've been reading here through my vlogs. It's in such a positive space. And as somebody who loves to sip the haterade, I have been in the mood to read books specifically to hate on them. Call me toxic. I said what I said. I really want to just like read a book and be like, dumb, stupid, whack. Like I really just want to do that. So as you can see behind me, there's a few books in my TBR that are very much not my taste. I'm gonna be honest, they're just there because I have been sipping the haterade and oh my goodness. I think that's enough of an intro, right? That's kind of explaining where my mind is at. And I just want you to know how I'm feeling. And I'm feeling like I just read a very popular book. And I've tabbed this very popular book, right? These tabs signify every moment I rolled my eyes for some reason. It's not that many. There are 2, 6, 7, 18 tabs. I feel like a book is super duper trash if there were 20 eye rolls. 18 eye rolls in a 500-page book isn't bad, but it's still 18 times I rolled my eyes. Now, before I get into this, the structure of this video, I'm literally just gonna hang out with you and we're just gonna talk some chisme about all the times that I rolled my eyes. With that said, there are going to be spoilers in this video. If you have not read the book, go read it, come back, come hang out. If you have read the book, go grab it, come back, come hang out. If you wanna reread it, leave, go back, come hang out. This is not a recap video. I'm not specifically focused on giving you an entire recap. I'm really just here to be all like, what is happening here? This is dumb. This is like that, genuinely just hanging out with the tabs, okay? Now, general feelings about Fourth Wing. For like the most vague storyline of what's happening in this book, you have a main character whose name is Violet Sorrengail. She is swept up into a dragon academy, and even the little blurb, the little whatever that is right there, it says fly or die. So part of this dragon academy that they're training warriors to help protect their town, their city, their world, their province, right? Our main character, she is brought into this academy because her mom is like head dragon bee, you know? And she's like, you gotta be a part of this family line. Violet goes to the academy. She didn't really want to do that. She wanted to be a librarian. And it follows her within that space. I don't know how better to explain that. You got a girl. She's going to dragon school. That's all that's really happening in this book. If a lot of people die at dragon school, those are the stakes. My general thoughts and feels by the end, yeah, you know what it is. I got my tiny little book filled with my tiny little thoughts. It was overhyped. Like, let's be honest here. It was really overhyped, and I don't know why. I think my biggest issue, as you'll see through this book, was genuinely that it was a very much all vibes, no plot kind of book. I feel like the plot was absolutely crammed into the very end of the book, but really it was just kind of like a vibes book. the way that people spoke about it, that this was a life-changing book, even up at the top here, the most addictive fantasy I've read in a decade. No, sorry. You obviously haven't read for 10 years. I do think that my experience with this book was hindered because of that hype. I feel like if everybody would have said how horrible this book was, I would have come into it, I would have read it, and I'm like, oh, it's not that bad, you guys. It was a very meh to like slightly below meh experience. Whatever star rating a meh is for you, subtract half. That's kind of how I feel about this. I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's get into these tabs. We have 18 tabs to make it through. We've got 18 eye rolls to make it through. So let's chug right along, shall we? First tab is our introduction to Xaden. Now here's the thing. At page 18, we're introduced to Xaden, right? Literally 2 pages ago, the sister was like, don't you dare go near Xaden. And then the main character's like, who is Xaden? I understand that our families have like really bad history. My mom is the reason his dad is dead. His dad is the reason my brother's dead. Like, it's this huge tension. This is the buildup of the enemies to lovers. Oh my gosh, are we gonna get any type of enemies portion of things? Because you know, they've got that history. That families are dead because of each other's families, right? So I'm thinking this 600-page book is 600 pages because we get a lot of enemy time, right? Page 18. She's like, he's tall with wind-blown black hair and dark brows. The line of his jaw is strong and covered in warm, tawny skin and dark stubble. And when he folds his arm across his torso, the muscles in his chest and arms ripple, moving in a way that make me swallow. And his eyes are the shade of gold-flecked onyx. The contrast is startling, jaw-dropping even. Everything about him is. His features are so harsh that they look carved, and yet they're astonishingly perfect. Like an artist worked a lifetime sculpting him, and at least a year of that was spent on his mouth. Girl, if you don't go take a cold shower, even the diagonal scar that bisects his left eyebrow and stops and marks the corner of his cheek only makes him hotter. Flaming hot, scorching hot, gets you into trouble and you like it level hot. Okay, there goes the enemies portion of the enemies to lovers, like, and she's like, oh no, because then somebody says his name, and she's like, oh no, this is Xaden, and I was like, enemies to lovers? The first man we drool over is our enemy. You were told 2 pages ago to avoid this man. You're about to walk across like the most dangerous walkway ever, and you're over here drooling? Get you in trouble and you like it kind of hot? Girl, see a therapist. What get you in trouble? Because he's dark with a scar. Dark with a scar. Okay. Alright. We're not even gonna get into how problematic that sounds. That was eye roll number 1. I didn't roll my eyes again until page 141. And this was because... Okay. Alright. So, she's at this school, right? She's at this dragon academy and people are dying left and right. They are running the gauntlet. The gauntlet is supposed to be this terrifying, horrifying thing on the side of a mountain. Whatever. It wasn't until page 141 that I just got annoyed because it really felt like there were no stakes in this book. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how you read a book and you're on the edge of your seat, you have no idea what's going to happen, you're fearful for your characters, you're worried about your characters, and for some reason, we're on the gauntlet, we're running up this thing, obstacle course that kills people, and those stakes weren't there for me. And I'm like, Like one girl, when that one girl fell off the edge and died, I was like, I mean, yeah, we kind of got to kill somebody off, you know? And every morning they're waking up and they're like listing off the names of people that have died and it's supposed to be this thing. Oh, the stakes weren't there for me. And I think it's genuinely because it was, like I said, vibes and no plot. If there were these stakes and I also had a plot woven into it, I think that would have been cool. But it's really just like, Dangerous Academy, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, Dangerous Academy people have to die. Like, I'm not attached to these people. I'm gonna eat my words later. Remember when I said that? I'm not attached to these people. There's a later part where I gasped, but we're not there yet. Next tab. Oh my goodness, that scene where Dane kisses her and she's like, it was over in an instant. It was everything I ever wanted, except I don't want it anymore. Yeah, we know. He's weird. Dane was so annoying. Why is it page 192? You're like, oh, I don't want this. Dane is annoying. We've known that. And here's the thing. I feel like this friendship between her and Dane, I didn't get to see it. Maybe like a flashback, maybe like a funny memory, maybe some inside jokes. These two, I didn't feel the history. I didn't feel the fact that they were these best friends and there was something there, and it was everything she ever wanted. And she's been thinking, like, she was a little flirty, but this concept of those two best friends pining after each other, or like their history, like, it just didn't work for me. Dane got on my nerves from the jump, and like the level of repetitive of Dane was like, but the rule, shut the F up, Dane. Pick up a sword. We're like, the rules. Oh! And here's the thing. Okay, wait. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're working in order. Page 192. The kiss between her and Dane. I didn't care. These two didn't have the history that she kept saying they had. She was like, we've always known each other. We used to go swimming. Oh, LOL. The jokes, the banter, just who they were together wasn't built in a way where I believed that this was a kiss that she wanted, or a kiss that even made sense for anyone, right? So yeah, I could understand when she was just like, there was nothing there. I didn't think there would be anything there. We all knew it. None of us thought there would be, you know? Next tab. I didn't roll my eyes again until page 245. This was the moment. And again, finally, when I was just like, Dane, be quiet. This is feeling repetitive. Dane is literally like, she wouldn't do that, Violet. She respects the rules. Okay. We get like the flatness of Dane. I kept feeling like it was hammered into me that Dane likes the rules. We got it. I've got it. And it felt like that was his only character trait. I saw nothing else of this character other than she was like, Dane is the rule boy. And this guy doesn't care about the rules. That's what we're gonna do. Like, Dane was such a one-dimensional character for me, and that honestly went nowhere for me. It went nowhere. It gets pretty dense in this corner of life. Now we're getting into a few things that I have some thoughts on. We're in the juicy part, because we're about to talk about sex, baby. We're gonna talk about you, and we're talking about sex. This is that scene where her friend Rhiannon is just kind of like, don't mind her, she's grumpy, she's sexually frustrated. And then Rhiannon's just like, I really could get my back broken. That would be so great, but nobody gets me. I gotta have connection. Girl, go get your back broken. Just go get it broken. I just felt like the way, I don't know, it was just kind of annoying to me, you know? Like, Rhiannon, she's living that life. Rhiannon's like, yeah, she was cute. Got that. And then for Violet to, like, in this scene specifically, be all like for them to be teasing her, being like, girl, just go get it done. And she's just like, in her head, like, nobody really stokes my fire. Okay, we got it. You have a soulmate. Like, something about that was just kind of, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I rolled my eyes. Because I was just like, nobody stokes my fire. Go get your back broken. 266. Okay, this was just one singular line. She was like, every edge of Xaden's body is honed like a weapon. All sharp lines and barely leashed power. His rebellion relic twists around his upper body and stands out against the deep bronze of his skin, accentuating every punch he throws, and his stomach. I mean, how many muscles are there in abdominals? I really hope there aren't too many, because at this point, what is even happening? How many muscles? Does the man look like a centipede? Ew! That, like, we're doing too much. Girl, you can't focus. You are too horny. 278. This center section was just kind of like trudging along. I really felt like this whole center of the book, like I said, was kind of just like vibes, no plot. I got kind of skimmy. I'm not gonna lie. I did get kind of skimmy. The way that classes were happening, the way the like center bit of mystery was presented, I just really felt like it was building. It was just slow. It didn't feel like I needed all this center. So the eye rolling was happening more and more. Now, 278 was their first kiss, right? And I did like an eye roll, but it wasn't like a annoyed eye roll. It was kind of just like a, okay, you know, like when they were doing their little bit of a banter back and forth before their first kiss. He was like, this is going to be such a bad idea. And she was like, such a bad idea. He's like, a calamity. Calamitous. And then they kissed. All right, fine. I kicked my feet a little bit at the kiss, but like, it's page 278. This took way too long. If y'all don't kiss earlier, like we've been waiting all this time. Now, okay, one thing I do want to say that like I did note specifically by 278. There was this weird thing happening in the book with the concept of like how I felt about the passage of time. I don't know if everybody else felt this way, but it was like she would say something like, the ground started hardening. It was now 2 months later. For this book to feel so slow, it felt so weird that like I needed those 2 months, you know? Because she was suddenly just good at these things, or these things just happened. There were way too many things thrown into the story. I just said things like 16 times, like words. There were way too many parts of the story that felt like for us to just breeze past 2 months. It was like, okay, like everybody's trying to kill her. She's struggling to fight. She's weak AF. She's like, for her to be like, okay, 2 months just passed. It's like, you good? Like, are you okay? Like, that's what I mean by it felt like there were no stakes. For her to be all like, we need to breeze ahead, like time jump. Why are you time jumping? Like the time jump showed me that I didn't have to care about the danger. And she was just like, all right, end of kiss scene. 2 months later. What's happening in those 2 months? Is angst happening? Does anybody make eye contact? Is there a brush? Does anybody try to kill you? How are you doing in your classes? You're getting your butt whipped in fighting class. You just 2 months and you're just having a good time in fighting class? What's happening? Something about the time passage only further lowered the stakes for me. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, like, cool. You know, like, something about that just didn't work. All right, the next tab I want to preface by saying, I do not have a disability, and I am not the say-all about disability rep. I can't speak on it for myself. I can't speak on it for anybody else. But there is something that hit at page 293 that I was just annoyed. Because, so she's getting in this fight with Jack. Jack is just a bully. Jack as a character, another weird one-dimensional character. His entire personality was that he didn't like weak things, weak anything in general. Like, I just didn't understand Jack. Jack had no depth. I knew nothing about him other than from the beginning he was like, I gotta kill everything that I've, like, something about Jack was odd. But anyways, one-dimensional Jack and Violet are in a hand-to-hand combat battle, right? And there's a moment where he hits her in the shoulder. Now, the disability rep of Violet is mostly involved in the fact that her body's frail. She's a teeny tiny little frail girl, right? And joints are popping out. She constantly has to go to the doctor. She is 20 years old, 20, 21. She's 20. She's had this disability her entire life. Jack hits her with all his strength, and she's like, oh wow, my shoulder didn't pop out. Well, that's so great. I'm gonna have to thank Imogen. Imogen was like, we're gonna work your muscles because that'll help your bones from popping out of place. There was no point in her entire life that she worked her muscles, because this only goes on to another point that I had. So she was just training her whole life to work in the library, right? I told you from the beginning she wanted to be a librarian. She trained her whole life to be this librarian. But there was no point when her mom would ever let that happen. Her mom's top head dragon lady. Of course she was never gonna let, and like, there was no questioning that her mom was gonna make her do this, right? So she's like, my sister's been training for that her entire life. Why was nobody training you? I know you're weak. I know you do have this disability. I know your joints are weak. But there was no point in which anybody was like, let's make you a little stronger for dragon school. Imogen was like, you can't keep getting your butt whipped. Let's go pick up a weight. And she's like, wow, my joints aren't popping out. Your whole life, your mother, who was going to force you into dragon school. First of all, who even let you get it into your head that a library would be an option? Who let her run with that? And then it was supposed to just be some surprise that she was going to dragon school? Girl, you guys need to work on your communication. Who let you run around like that? This all would have been solved if somewhere along the line they're like, you're not going to be a librarian, girl. Now let's get two muscles on. Like, something about this whole story being built on she wanted to work in the library, but now she's forced into dragon school. You couldn't have honestly thought your mom would just suddenly like We're kidding ourselves. Page 305, where she's all mind blown that Xaden opened the door for her. The bar is literally in the trenches. She was like, you, and he was like, my dad taught me, and then like, all right, I've got a love confession for you, where it was like, where she's like, you don't want to kill me anymore? And he was like, no, something changed. And she's like, when did it change? And he's like, maybe it was when I saw Oren holding a knife to your throat. Or maybe it was when I realized the bruises on your neck were fingerprints and I wanted to kill them all over again just so I could do it slowly. Maybe it was the first time I recklessly kissed you, or when I realized I'm effed because I can't stop thinking about doing more than just kissing you. Does it even matter when, as long as it changed between us? She said, when did you stop wanting to kill me? And he said, when I wanted to kill other people. Seek help. Okay, to 354 with like my heart. It wasn't an eye roll. We're gonna get a little, like, because these last few eye rolls are big eye rolls, but this moment, so she has this ginormous, huge dragon, right? And 354 is when he gets a saddle so that it's more accessible for her to get on his back. And she's like, is this even allowed? And her dragon's like, I determine what's allowed. You've been working as hard as you can, and this is just not accessible for you. And despite you working hard, you won't be able to do it. The least I can do is put a saddle on my back. That, my chest, that part got me. 367 was, and I roll a strong one. So the little dragon, the little golden dragon that she gets is a baby dragon, right? And she has to keep it a secret because nobody knows about the baby dragons that are in the valley that's super protected, right? Why does she have to be reminded so many times not to release that secret to people that she doesn't even like? That was so odd to me. It was 367 marks the third time that had to happen. Keep the secret. Why is she pausing? People are like, we want to know about your golden dragon. And then she pauses and she's like, oh, they want to know. And then the dragons are like, don't tell them. And she's like, you're right. Why do you have... Just keep a secret. Keep a secret? Keep a secret. Keep a secret. We got it. We got it. You're honest. You're secretly poisoning people. Your honesty isn't exactly like a character trait. So why at this moment are you having to pause and you're like, they want to know? Just lie. You've been lying. You a liar. Keep lying. Like, 380. Let's talk about this sex scene, you guys. Because so they doing what they do. They bumping uglies, right? Their monsters are rearing their heads and battling against each other. You feel me? And it's like a lightning storm. I never lost control like that. You guys are shooting lightning across. Like, come on, this is ridiculous. And here's the thing. Her powers are supposed to like drain her. They're so hard to channel. You have powers that are so hard to channel, yet you hit climax and you blow the room apart. Girl, you don't. Are you not drained? What do you mean you're going for round 3, 4, 5? You just used your powers. Your powers make you tired. You have to go. She has to go to the top of a snowy mountain because her powers are so dangerous, so horrible, and they overheat her, they drain her, and she can only try to channel it a couple of times. But she sets off a lightning storm in the bedroom. Your powers don't sound that dangerous because it sounds like everybody survived. The next one was 390. Why did I tab this one? Okay. So somewhere, I don't know when it happened because like I said, I got a little skinny. Sorry, my bad. They had this thing that comes out of nowhere. And she's like, tell me something real. What's that movie? You know the movie I'm talking about, where the guy and the girl, he's in a wheelchair, she's his caretaker, and they fall in love. Oh my gosh, that book is so good. I will cry my eyes out right now. But they have a habit, and they do this thing where it's like, tell me something good. This feels like that was just stolen from that or something, because this came out of nowhere. Tell me something real. Tell me something real. Where did this come from? This isn't like a thing you guys do. Something about that just felt like jarring. I was just kind of, oh, give me something real. Girl, you could just be like, let's talk. Like, that felt something about that tell me something real trying to become a thing. Like, trying to make that a thing for those two was just odd. Why? Where did that come from? 417. Another naked scene. Uglies were bumped and her panties miraculously disappeared. I reread these paragraphs 4 times. There's a moment where all she's standing in are her underwear, and then suddenly they're gone. But Then I went back through the other sex scenes, and I just think Rebecca Yarros just is confused about clothes. The transitions from some clothes being removed and then suddenly things are happening, it's like there's a better way to write this scene where we strip to nakedness, or we at least have a phrase to be all like, we are now both completely nude. The concept of clothing in the way that these sex scenes are written, I also didn't quite like the sex scenes. I don't know what it was. And also the use of the word, her use of the ASS word, you know, instead of like but, because the sex scenes are written like beautifully, you know, like it's a woman writing a sex scene. So it was also jarring to be all like, he put his mouth on my bud and then grabbed my ASS. It's like, okay, hear me out. Maybe we should have used a different word there. It just, ASS was just thrown in and it would be like, yes, but like, why are these curse bombs coming in out of nowhere? Girl. Now, this tab is such an important tab. You see this? This right here? Rebecca Yarros said, you know what we should do? It's time for a plot. Right here. This is where she decided that. Rebecca Yarros said, I think I need to make some money. Bills are coming. We need a second book. It's time for a plot. That's it. This right here. We stopped vibing and suddenly it was like, she was like, I'm running out of paper in my printer. I'm about to hit my word count limit. I've got some writing to do. Like, that's what, okay. All right, whatever. Right here. We get the Zayden chapter and it's in his POV. That's lazy. We have a character that's unconscious and you're like, how do I write a scene with a character that's asleep? And they're like, a random POV from somebody that hasn't had a POV this entire book. It's time. That was lazy. Okay, whatever. Now, the big reveal at the very end. I'd gasp, like, oh, it's your brother. He's alive. Duh. What other reveal was there going to be? Of course somebody was going to be alive, and of course it was going to have to be her brother. Like, it wasn't going to be her dad, and it wasn't going to be his dad. The big reveal was like, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of, it's happened so many times. A lot of the new fantasy books, the big reveal is that somebody who you thought was dead isn't actually dead, you know? So I'm reading this book and I'm like, well, I mean, if they're following the fact that of what everybody else said, like, of course, somebody's gonna be alive. So when she was like, Brennan, the end. So the next book, I guess it's like time for a plot. I started a plot. It's time. Look, this book is 499 pages. And 445 of them was just kind of oh my goodness, this was such a big book. I think that's one of my biggest complaints. This is huge. This is a hefty boy. I don't know. Quite a few eye rolls in there. Quite a few little warm moments. Oh, you remember earlier when I said I didn't care about any of the characters? Remember that? Why did Liam have to die? Why? Why did Liam have to die? Well, the people we had to kill off, we killed Liam. That boy was minding his business. Oh my gosh. Like, of all the people that we had to kill off the main characters, I would have cared less if Xaden died. Get rid of Xaden. Liam didn't deserve that. Justice for Liam, okay? When his dragon died and they dragged Liam over, my chest, my heart. Oh, sweet baby. Like, what is going on? That was Fourth Wing. That was Fourth Wing. That was Fourth Wing. Very meh book. I liked the dragons, but I feel like in the world of fantasy, dragons are my top favorite fantastical thing, you know? Dragons are peak fantasy for me. Love them. So cool. I even love, like, you know, in Avatar, their little love. This was predictable. This was so predictable. It was so weird to be all like, we've never seen a black dragon. And then they're like, oh, she got a black dragon. The gold dragons don't bond to anybody. Oh, look at that. The gold dragon's gonna bond to her. We've never seen anybody with 2 dragons. Oh, look, she got 2 dragons. Stay away from Xaden. Oh, look, fine man is Xaden. It was so weird for them to specifically say, this has never happened. Then it happens to this girl. And I think I'm just so over the super special main character that's not like anybody else. Are we all over that? Because I'm over it. I'm over it. This has never happened before. Oh my goodness, our main character who is so much weaker than everybody else just so happens to be the most special person on this entire earth. I'm not saying that a disability rep can't be the most special. It's just that I'm saying in every book so far that I've read from popular booktube Fantasyland, it's this character is extremely underestimated, but they're about to be the most powerful thing that history has ever seen in life. And so then I just kind of like read the book waiting to see when they become the most special. And then at that point it's just like, oh, this would make them the most special because they said it's never happened. Guess that's gonna happen. Like the book was just set in front of me. And I got skinny. And I'm kind of glad it's done because I have better books to read. Oopsie.